Well, here we go. Welcome to Meet Tina here. Welcome everyone for following my channel here. For those of you who are just new to my channel, please go ahead and don't forget to subscribe. First, click like, and let's continue here. Here today, I'm bringing back Anthony Torres. He was on my channel before. A very powerful angel healer, clinical hypnotherapist, and he also an author of I think a couple books that you wrote, right, Anthony? Cool. Well, I got some angel reading and healing, from him before, and I want him to share about this work because I found it to be quite fascinating, Anthony. Tell me about your work because it took about an hour, I believe, and you just did some sort of clairvoyant work, in your own world. And next thing you know, you came out with all these messages, and you were able to pick up, I would say, my issue, the program, which I didn't expect that. I didn't really expect that would be my issue. But when I thought about it, yeah, that was, that was my issue that I had. It's interesting because sometimes, I've been working on my own issue for years on my path. But sometimes when you get to the core of yourself, sometimes it's hard to see some of those issue that you have.
There's blind spots sometimes.
Blind spot, totally my blind spot, Anthony.
Subjective blind spots, right?
Yeah. So, I got all the angels that you work with, just pulled them all out. And I was like, well, yeah, that's right. So let's talk about that.
I want to add something. In the work that I do with the angels, it's your guardian angels that I'm working with, unless there's a specific isolated situation that they bring up where it's in where we call on a specialist, like a specific archangel, to intervene on a little nuanced area of the healing. In general, the majority of the work is done by way of assistance of people's guardian angels. So these are beings that have been assigned to you by way of God, who they're with you all the way through from when you're a baby growing up. They're in tune right there in all the nuances of your thought processes and all the experiences you've gone through in life. So yeah, they know you well.
No kidding. I was like, whoa, I never thought about that. I thought I, peel off all my shit. Excuse me, peel it off. And when you brought it up, I'm like, oh my God, yeah, definitely that was one of the major one in the past, but I haven't thought about it. But you're right about that. So now, how many angels that you work with, Anthony? You mentioned that you work with my angels. Who were my angels who you talked to?
Okay, so there's a few questions in there. First off, you asked how many angels. That's unique to each person. That's unique to each person.
Cool.
It can be, it's hard to answer that question because it could vary from person to person basis. How many were involved in your healing? I don't even think I asked that. I just went through the process and let them show what they wanted to show. And I could definitely, with your permission, go through the process where I can.
I'll give you my permission, of course. I'm an open book.
We can do that outside of the podcast or whenever works. But
I'll share with you guys later on. How about that? After the podcast on the next one. Cool. So now tell me, I think you are a hypnotherapist as well, correct? Clinical hypnotherapist.
I am a clinical hypnotherapist. I'm an honors graduate from Hypnosis Motivation Institute, the class of 2009. And
you were instructor before, I remember.
I was also an instructor. I was an instructor, and you were a student in my class at one point in time.
He was my instructor before in the class.
I still have your class review sheet where you left your review for me as an instructor.
No way, you remember that?
Yeah, I do remember that.
Oh my God, that's funny. That was a long time ago.
It is. It was a long time ago. So yeah, I've graduated class of 2009. I was blessed to have a full-time practice coming out of graduation. And
well, you were good. That's why they got you to become a teacher right away. I don't think they would take anyone.
I appreciate the opportunities and thank you for the compliment. I put my heart and soul into it, and I all the materials, I think I went through them probably 3 times over. So like whenever I would get out of class, I would do like review.
Wow.
And yeah, I mean, I think anything that you put your everything into and really, really mean it, you're going to grow and become generally pretty well versed in it. So I was very serious about the whole thing. I still am. And yeah, I'm grateful for the training. It was absolutely amazing training.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's awesome stuff.
How many years this institution has been around? I think it was one of the first in United States, right?
Yeah, it was one of the first. It's the first accredited college for hypnotherapy. As far as it being the first college, I don't know. I haven't done. I would have to look that up. I don't know how many other schools were around whenever they were beginning their thing. But I do know that from what Hypnosis Motivation Institute says, that they were the first accredited.
Yeah, I remember that part too, because they were around for a long time.
Yeah, they've been around for a while. I mean, if you remember some of the training videos that were there, like the Atlanta series, those old school looking videos, it seemed like it almost seemed like it was like the 70s or so, the 70s or the 80s.
I think it was in the 70s. I think since that generation. Yeah. Wow, that's so cool.
For a while. So yeah, it's
so you
yeah,
still practice clinical hypnotherapy? And
I do. I still see hypnotherapy clients. That was what I was doing predominantly for between 2009 and 2012. And in 2012, I completed my training in clairvoyant healing with angels. And
that's what I want to talk about.
I was able to kind of just merge I had a private practice in place already. So I was able to, once I began working with the angels, I was able to bring clients into people that I've already previously worked with and new clients into my already established practice. And it was just a really smooth merge of the two.
So let me ask you, what's the difference between the result? I'm talking about the ending result for your clients, angel healing or your hypnotherapy work?
I mean, with hypnotherapy, it's a little better for things like simple fears, goal-oriented stuff, weight loss, things that you need to really focus your mind into for goal-oriented purposes. Phobias, hypnotherapy works really, really well for that. And it works well for just getting certain ideas and new ways of thinking and new attitudes and new perspectives more deeply into the mind. But when there's certain situations with clients that have to do with certain dimensional levels of oneself where problems are existing that are beyond the mental and emotional level, like when things have seeped into the soul level, the angels are second to none in their reach into those higher dimensional levels of oneself that really can't be reached through the subconscious or through the state of hypnosis. As well, if certain conflicts are present in people, and those conflicts are the type that are of the degree of severity where there's they've attracted through magnetic resonance attracted entities into those conflicts. Good luck trying to fix that with hypnotherapy. It's not really going to work. Really, the only beings that have jurisdiction for effectively dealing with entities, especially certain classifications of entities, are holy guardian angels and archangels. And that's just really how it goes. I have so many clients who have come to me for the work with the angels, who I've had a dime for how many times I've heard people say, I thought I've worked on that and I thought I had fixed it. And these are things coming up in people's sessions that, just to give you a little to preface what I'm saying, when I go into the sessions with the angels, I don't ask anybody about their history. There's no Q&A. There's no life history.
Yeah, I remember. You
questionnaire.
didn't ask. You didn't ask anything.
Yeah,
Mhm.
like it is with hypnosis. In hypnosis, hypnotherapy sessions, you sit down, you ask them 1,001 questions about this and that and their past and what led to this and what led to that. With the work with the angels, I just only questions I ask is if I have their permission to proceed forward with the invocations. And once I
Mm.
have their permission to proceed forward with their invocations of their holy guardian angels, the angels just start revealing things and showing things. If I had a dime for how many times people who have come to me, who had already worked in other capacities and through other methods and modalities, and the angels will bring up certain themes existing on deeper levels of themselves. If I, like I said, if I had a dime for how many times people said, well, I thought I worked on that. I thought I had gotten that fixed. And then I explained to them, well, yeah, you may have dealt with it on this level, the mental level, the emotional level, but causal level, soul level, these things are still existing. And
Mm.
they're themes that outright you are able to say, yes, this is relevant, but I thought I worked on it. And in those situations, when there's entities rooted into those conflicts, it just is what it is.
So
And,
what type entities that would,
well, there's quite a few classifications of entities, and there's
can you share?
different expressions, expressions of entities as well. Yeah, well, I mean, we could go through the as many as possible. I guess we have a lot of time here, so we can just talk open-endedly.
Well, people will know what they are, because I'm sure some people are not even aware of it.
Yeah, I mean,
that would be entities that would be.
Well, we'll start at the less severe ones, and then we'll work our way up.
Oh boy.
Begin with like the well, one, ghosts, the splinters of people's souls in ghost form that end up in clients' auras, people's auras, because that person that passed away with unresolved conflicts connected to my client. In that will cause, like I said, a splinter of that person's soul in ghost form to end up lodged in the auric field of the client. And
how were they able to lodge in your auric field?
The unresolved conflict between the two anchors them into the auric field. So the person really can't pass forward, or the passed away, the person that's left their body, a splintered layer of their soul in ghost form remains anchored into that person's auric field without the ability to completely fully transition onward into the spiritual dimensions until that conflict has been addressed. And there's either some type of forgiveness or reconciliation, or apologies, so on and so forth. So that's one, but I really can't call ghost entities. They're more they're souls of people that passed away. But that is one thing that once in a while I will see in regards to the work with the angels. They'll show if that's relevant. And that could be an adult ghost or even fetal ghost, the ghost of babies, such as when women have had abortions or miscarriages and they haven't healed psychologically, emotionally from that. That will also cause the ghost of that baby, a splintered aspect of that baby's soul in ghost form, to be lodged in or anchored into the client's field. And then adult ghosts, of course. Beyond ghost, we have elementals, which are spirits of the elements. And these would be trolls, which are earth elementals, that attract into the field specific to their own thing within the client's consciousness. Air elementals, which are sylphs. Water elementals, undines. Salamanders, which are fire elementals, which more times than not attract into or get kind of magnetized into curse energy if anybody's wished ill will upon you. that or set forth a curse towards somebody, oftentimes the salamanders will kind of get vacuumed into that curse energy and end up in the person's field.
The person who cursed at the person, right?
People that curse others will end up with their own karmic consequence for their destructive desire for the person that they're cursing. But the person who gets cursed is the one that will oftentimes, not oftentimes, but every time I've ever seen curse energy in somebody's field, the angels have ever revealed curses in someone's field, there's always been a certain degree of salamanders that are kind of have been vacuumed into that curse energy that has been directed towards the client. So so those are elementals, the earth, fire, water, and air elementals. Then there's reptilians, not to be confused with the whole David Icke reptilian bloodline thing.
Right.
But to some degree, I could explain around all that as well. But reptilians are astral entities that attract into their own specific root areas of consciousness, specifically the root areas of human consciousness that are fight, flight, survival, anxiety, and fear, negative self-talk, like legitimate negative self-talk, powerlessness, or the need for power.
Yeah.
The need for power, the thirst for power will attract reptilians into people's fields of consciousness. But yeah, fight, flight, survival, fear, and anxiety, powerlessness, the need for power, negative self-talk are the primary human expressions of consciousness that attract reptilians in. Then we have archons, which were just in a gentleman's field earlier that I worked with. They're interdimensional aliens. There's a few different classification of archons. There's grays, there's mantids, there's blues, there's Nordics. Then there's also what they call Luciferian archons, which are a little bit more on the demonic side. And they attract into deviations or false expressions of people where they've either been manipulated or they're carrying about in a way that represents a false will or a deviation away from their true will. For whatever reason, whether that deviation from the client's true will is to procure something or to obtain something or try to avoid something. I've also seen archons in people's fields where the parents completely influenced the child into a certain vocational path that had nothing to do with what God's will and what that client's destiny really was. And the parents, whether it be through trying to live vicariously through the child, or whether it be like for purposes of the social impression and social standing, they'll want their wealthy parents or like high society parents who will want their kid to follow the traditional path of like becoming like a engineer or a lawyer or a like doctor. And that might not have anything to do with what that child's soul is supposed to be here doing. And that type of manipulation that sets the person off on a whole course of life and a path that isn't organic to them will also attract these archons.
Wow.
Well, so
hearing all this, I mean,
there's more. There's a few more too as well. The worst of it.
Please share, because I'm sure the audience would like to know.
We haven't even talked about the worst of it.
Yeah.
Jesus
Christ, yeah.
The other ones, and some that are really super prevalent, is astral snakes. And snakes they're astral entities that attract into the whole business of betrayal, deception, misperception, and sabotage, where either we've betrayed ourselves, another person, or deceived ourselves or deceived another person, or where somebody has betrayed or deceived us, and that occurrence has gone unhealed or unchecked or undealt with. And that will also attract that specific type of entity is unresolved betrayal, deception, or sabotage from other people or our actions towards others. And then there's demons, and in the hierarchy of destructiveness, so to speak, demons are the worst. They attract into a slew of different human expressions. One being lust, like runaway lust, deep despair, depression, suicidal ideation, depression or depression anguish, or despair that borderlines or bleeds into wanting to take one's life. Demons will also attract into greed, deep envy and jealousy, like deep, not just kind of passive, like I'm a little envious of that person, but when it's like a deep issue that influences a person's actions towards others. So envy, like deep-seated envy and jealousy. They'll also attract into deep-seated guilt or self-condemnation, violent oppression of others, for purposes of personal gain, hate, like deep hate. These are some of the primary human expressions that attract demons into people's fields.
Wow. So you run into a lot of clients who have the demons energy in their auric field?
There's a good amount.
Wow. Okay. That's so how can I'm sure people who listen would go, "Whoa, shoot, how do I prevent that?" What can they do? What most people can do to prevent from all this attachment?
One thing people can do is, well, I mean, there's a lot of different nuances pertaining to each different classification of entity, right? So I'm going to do my best to give a broad answer here, but one is keep a close, an authentic, close, communicative relationship with God, with the creator of all, and with one's holy guardian angels. Be quick to forgive people if they've betrayed you, or deceived you or sabotaged you. That would be more for like the astral snakes. Keep yourself as healthy as you can, and through all your practice and through any and all health and wellness and spiritual practices that keep you in a balanced place. A lot of these entities, they attract into the field through magnetic resonance when these certain expressions, root areas of consciousness, are severe enough that it can literally pull and draw and magnetize and open the door of the aura for these types of entities to have a welcome landing pad, so to speak, and end up taxied around inside of the aura of the client, as long as that root area of consciousness is going unresolved. So I would say be quick to resolve things, heal things, keep a balanced mind, meditation, prayer, inviting the holy presence of God into areas of one's thinking mind. Whenever you notice on the scale of peace, your mind is going more into conflict or the absence of peace, have enough self-awareness to be able to catch yourself and literally through invocation and petition and request, call the Holy Spirit and the holy presence of God into nooks and crannies of the mind that might be out of in discord or conflict or out of peace, and ask God to literally intervene into one's thoughts in order to bring peace and bring healing and bring replacement of fears or negative thoughts or negative emotions. Just literally through prayer and request and invocation, asking God to move into areas of your mind that you're able to locate through self-awareness, being a self-aware person, and noticing if you're going south and so that's one way. You just keep yourself as healthy and balanced and
Positive, in general.
positive and in communication with God, and always in communication with God, and inviting God and your holy guardian angels into areas of your consciousness that might need illumination and might need healing or replacement of darkness by way of holy light, and all general practices just to keep your mind in a balanced place.
So pretty much it's like the saying, you attract who you are. That's pretty much what you just said.
You attract what you become, and what you become is a byproduct of where you go with your consciousness. You know, every thought, every reaction, every emotion, all of it becomes what you are. It's the content of what you are and what you become, and all of those things have consequences. Energetically, they affect you in different specific areas of your energetic anatomy. And if your uses of consciousness, meaning your thoughts, your attitudes, your beliefs, your reactions to life, are severe enough, some of the consequences are attracting entities into your field through magnetic resonance. And it just is what it is, unfortunately. I don't want to say unfortunately, because it's kind of fortunate. All of these things and the way that existence has been arranged offers tremendous opportunity for growth and evolution. If we were just going south in our thinking, and just a ball of just negativity and fury and imbalance, and there was no astral consequences to that, and it didn't lead to any negative results, then people would just be walking around just that, and balls of negativity and karmic. I want to say karmic, because if there was no karma, then yeah, people would just be much lesser versions of themselves, very dense and heavy and full of conflict and negativity. And so it's kind of good that in the free will that we've been given and how we go about the living of life, there's a cause and effect to where we go in our mind and where we go in our consciousness, and that gives us an opportunity to assess, whoa, this doesn't feel good, or the conditions of my life suck. I need to do something about it and make some changes, right? So, yeah.
Wow. So you say you came across many who have demons attached. This is the worst kind. Have they ever tried to attack you, Anthony? These demons.
Come again?
Have they ever tried to attack you, those demons who you work with, their clients who have these attachments?
Oh, wow. In session, or have I had my own?
Yeah.
Have I gone through my own gauntlet with these entities in the past? Yes, I've had my own personal experiences in that, and
Were you aware that you have these attachments at a time?
Yeah, but you can tell how it influences your thinking and how distorted your thinking gets, and how you begin to notice your kind of forced thoughts and ways of thinking that are just overtly not healthy, and maybe out of your own character. And don't get me wrong, for them to end up in your existence isn't pin the tail on the donkey type of thing. That's not just random like the wild, wild west, where we're just going through life and all of a sudden, boom, you've got a demonic attachment. No, they show up as consequence to a point and place in your own mind where you've maybe gone sideways, right? And you've opened yourself up to that. So, but once they get in there, yeah, you can tell. All of a sudden, you're getting psychic imprints and messages that don't seem like your own thought processes, or really like severe imbalances. For instance, like if there are demons that have attracted into lust, or times in the past where maybe you allowed yourself to get to out of balance with your sexual desires and urges. If demon of lust ends up in your field, it is going to turn up the volume on lust thoughts times 100, and really kind of in ways that just don't really reflect who you normally are.
Mm.
And in that, if you have enough self-awareness, you can kind of catch it and be like, hold on, something's not right here. Like this just isn't right. But as far as like my clients, like working with them, no one's demons who are shown by the angels in sessions, they don't come after me. They're not my, that's not really how it works. Again, it's
That's not the resonant as well.
it's not the wild west here where it's like, oh, well, no, I mean, those things are in that person's field for their own reasons. And now don't get me wrong, I've participated in exorcisms before, by way of the angels, removing these things from people's fields, where as they're on their way out, I can hear some of the things that they're saying, like some of the obscenities that they're speaking about the client, or just nasty kind of unholy comments, just things that just are just not pleasant, and not pleasant to the purity of one's heart and spirit, and blasphemous stuff, and
Wow.
just
So,
evil antagonistic types of comments. A few times I've heard those. Yeah.
wow. So were your clients aware at all when you were working on them that they had the demon's attachment to their auric field?
Some can tell. Yeah.
So what was their reaction when you mentioned to them that they have all this attachment to their auric field? Were they kind of shocked? Did they believe you, or were they scared?
Well, no. I mean, the angels will always explain what specific root areas of consciousness the demon originally attracted into, and as well, they'll also show what area of one's energetic anatomy, whether it be planetary areas, chakric areas, soul, mind, body part areas, Sephiras of the tree of life. The angels will show specifically what department of one's being the demons have are anchored into, and also the specific expression of human consciousness that specific demon is attracted into. Like if it's for instance, if it's like in one's emotional heart, and there's like deep despair or suicidal ideation because somebody's been abused by another, or has gone through enough tragedy or emotional tragedy, the angels will show, okay, yeah, there's demons in the emotional heart, and it's having to do with despair, depression, and suicidal ideation. And when I explain to the clients all of this with the specifics and nuance, yeah, they're like, yeah, that's what's happening. And yes, I give permission for this to be cleared and for healing to happen here. So
Wow.
I don't know if I answered the question.
No, you sure did. You sure did. It's pretty fascinating. Did you see any attachment on me?
Sweetie, I'd have to pull up your intake form. I think it might be here on
Oh, you have it.
on
Oh, I didn't know you
Messenger,
keep it.
Facebook Messenger. Well, I mean, we did a remote session, so everything was, I think I sent everything to you on Messenger once we were
Done.
done. So where are you here? There you are. Let's look and see. Let's scroll up and see if there were any entity attachments to Mrs. Tina.
How many % of human that you see attachment on the cases that you have been working on people on this healing?
I mean, there's so many different, like I mentioned, there's a lot of different classifications of entities that span a lot of different expressions of human consciousness.
Yeah.
So I would say, I work with so many people, I would say maybe like 80% of people, 75,
Wow, that's
right
quite
around
a lot.
there.
Yeah.
But I mean, we're also dealing with sessions where the angels are spanning through the entirety of one's life and the way that life has accumulated in people's auric fields from an unresolved standpoint. And most of the time I'm dealing with people who aren't just 7 years old, where they've only got 7 years of life experience that has accumulated within them, potentially holding unresolved conflict. I believe I sent your intake form through text message, so it's not on Messenger, so I'd have to pull it up and
As well. So, would it expand it into their past life as well, Anthony?
Sometimes the angels will also show if there's a current life conflict, if it has any roots in causal roots in previous lifetime and unresolved conflicts from previous lifetimes, then yeah, they will show that 100%.
Oh, it's fascinating.
Where is your intake form here? I am doing my best.
I don't remember.
I
think it was a messenger that used. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I'm scrolling here, and I can't. We're not on text message, are we?
I don't think so. It's on Messenger. That's the only thing.
Do you have two accounts on Messenger? Your viewers right now are going to be like, all right, you guys get with it.
They probably love to hear.
I don't think there were. Or if there were,
you would have mentioned it, right?
And it would be on your intake form. There may have been snakes, but I don't want to speculate. I can't speak on. I would have to get up and go find your intake form.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be able to tell you, sweetie.
Would you tell all your clients that they have attachments?
Well, yeah. I mean, if they're coming in for a healing and the angels reveal and show things, and that's.
I mean, wouldn't that cause some people? Wouldn't that cause some people more fear if they find out they have, for example, if they find out they have demons attached to them? How would that?
No, more than anything, it will liberate them because they'll be able to learn okay, this area of my thinking in the past or reactions to life in the past got to such a severe place that it opened the door for this type of entity to latch on to me. And it allows people to take a moment and through self-reflection, have some accountability. And more than anything, it's relief that the angels are revealing these things. Listen, we're not just doing diagnostic work and then telling people, okay, well, it sucks for you. See you later. We'll catch up with you at another time. Like after the diagnostic work, there's healing. There's healing that happens immediately after, where if the angels show something, I'll say, okay, in regards to this, and this, if this is true of your best, that it receive clearing and healing, and if it's within the will of God, do you invite and give permission to the angels residing over your healing and God to carry out the healing of this? If it's a demon or an entity, that part of it changes a little bit in how I express it, for purpose of allowing the client to give permission for that to be cleared out. And then there's some other specific ins and outs of the process, depending on the classification of entity. If it's a demon, if it's a snake of betrayal or deception, if it's a elemental, there's specific protocol that I go through in gaining the client's permission and invitation for the angels residing over their healing to clear that and to bring healing into that. So more than anything, it's there's relief, and then that leads to a healing, where they start feeling better, and the negativity and the negative effects and the mayhem that entity may have been causing to show up in people's outer world because of their inner world condition, those things begin to change, and people's lives improve. So
makes a lot of sense.
Even if in the diagnostic part of the process, people are shocked and taken aback, so be it. If at the end of the day, it's all in the name of a healing and growing and improvement in your life, I'll take it.
Yeah, well, it's true. So it boils down to their own emotion, their thought and emotion, that.
Yeah, thought, emotion, perception,
Mhm,
attitude, choices,
mhm.
one's reasoning, um, people's motivations, um, unresolved conflicts from the past um, that have bubbled up and morphed into greater conflicts. Yeah, so it's a combination of all of these things.
So let me ask you, like, let's say if family members or loved ones send the clients to you and those clients did not believe in this kind of work, would it still work on them, Anthony?
Yeah, if I could tell you how many times I've had people of science-minded people come in because they were referred by somebody else who they
Right.
respect. And the main thing is the fact that when people come in for sessions, I don't ask that. I purposely tell them, don't tell me why you're coming in. Don't tell me what's going on with you. I don't want to know anything about your past, your history.
Yeah.
I don't want to know what you're perceiving as wrong. I just want to ask your permission to proceed forward with being guided by your guardian angels and by God. And I just ask them permission to proceed forward with the invocations. And the diagnostic process begins, and the angels start bringing up all these super nuanced personal areas of of that person's life. You see at a moment, you see their eyes glaze over, their jaw, like figuratively speaking, their jaw just dropped to the floor, and they're just, what can you do at that point? I mean, the proof is in the pudding. I have a lot of doctors who are clients of mine, plastic surgeons, neurosurgeons. One was I won't mention well, to give the example, I will have to, but one of these clients, let me figure out how I can say this without, with you still
He's
having,
well known.
still having discretion. One of the clients of mine, we'll say that she was a lawyer.
Hmm.
I'm not going to give away her profession because, yeah.
Right,
So,
understood.
and she's a lawyer, older woman, retired, very super successful
Right.
lawyer. And she came in, she's a woman of science, not big into spirituality at all. She comes in and referred to me by other clients of mine who she's friends with, and we go through the process. And as we begin, all of a sudden the angels start showing fetal ghosts, 3 specifically,
Oh.
and certain other entities that have to do with despair associated with that. And immediately she looked at me and she says, "There is no way that you could have known this. I have not even told anyone in my family that these 3 abortions took place. Not
Wow.
even my children or my husband. And not my mom, no one in my family I've ever told this." So, I mean, at that moment in time, what are you going to do?
You make a believer. You make a believer out of
Yeah,
this.
and then all of a sudden, and then at that point, yeah, and she's a believer, and she's sending me tons and tons of people. I had one girl I worked with who I knew at some capacity and stages of my past, and going into the session, she came right out and said, "Listen, I don't believe in God, and I believe in this physical reality." And
I was going to ask you that question too.
and
Yeah.
I don't have any beliefs about the afterlife.
Mhm.
I don't have any spiritual beliefs, but I am open, and I give you permission to do your work, and I give you permission authentically.
Mhm.
And we begin the session, and the next thing you know, the angels are showing specific physical issues in her sexual regions. And I'm not going to state the exact physical issue, but and then they showed connected to that those physical issues in the sexual regions, demons of guilt. And then they showed they referred to the left hand, and they showed the left hand connected to the sexual regions where the physical problems were and where the demons were, showing that she had invited a sexual partner into her life while she was married, and all the guilt that she was holding around that, and how the guilt from inviting and welcoming in this other sexual partner while she was happily married as well, just through lust, had led to immense guilt, and which had attracted astral demons into their sexual regions of the aura that had in time translated over into physical body issues in her sexual and reproductive areas. And they showed all of this, and even showed the time when it happened. And I mean, what can you do at that point?
Wow.
I mean, and
Now,
she's just looking at me like, WTF? I mean, and next thing you know, it goes from like confusion to amazement to tears to like, and by the end of the session, she's like, I believe in God now.
Oh shit.
And
there's no secret with Anthony Torres.
I've had so many of these situations similar, where people, science-minded people, like I said, I have a lot of clients that are plastic surgeons, and the angels just are bringing up all these super personal issues and personal things and specific periods of time where they happened. And there's no way I could consciously know these things. So there's at
Anthony,
that point in time, you
how
can't.
Come you're not on TVs right now?
I don't want. I'm cool with where we're at with the whole thing. I'm not looking to be on TV. Right. I'm here with you. This is TV.
This is the TV. That's right. Yeah, I'm blessed. Well, I'm actually, guys, I'm actually blessed and happy because Anthony doesn't get on TV or interview with anyone. That's what he told me. So I feel so privileged, to you open up your world and share. I mean,
listen, like Tina, I do, this work. The angels deserve greater visibility, and I will be teaching a lot of people. But myself and my mentors have kept this quiet just because we've been in the last 20 plus years in the process of allowing the angels to develop the method and develop it and fine tune it. And they've been adding more and more things into it. And we've been fine tuning that process. So, if the world at large knew about this work and it led to some influx of attention, I wouldn't know what to do with it. It would be distracting. It might take me away from my ability to work with as many clients as I am on a regular basis. I'm not even ready for that type of thing right now. Maybe in the future when the time is right, but it's just not been time for that type of visibility, and I'm perfectly fine with how things are, and I'm just pleased with it.
I'm sure those who are listening right now probably would want to learn from you now.
Yeah, I mean, we'll get there. That's definitely in the cards, and
sign me up, Anthony.
Yeah, you're definitely in that group, and
I'm the first one. So are you? For you to admit students into your circle, I mean, is there any kind of, there's certain people that they just pick certain people to become their students?
Yeah, I mean,
is that requirement?
I'm always going to ask the angels, like, is this a good idea from a person-to-person basis? I mean, I am going to screen people. I'll never just do like, oh, there's an online curriculum for clairvoyant healing with angels, and you can just take it and get it. I will never do that. It will always be ideally screened and invite only. And it just primarily, the main prerequisite is people come from a place of purity of heart to want to truly help others and be part of the team, and really honor the angels' work and their method and their modality. Like I don't, and nor will I ever claim this work as my own. It will never be Anthony Torres healing with never any of that. Like the main prerequisite is that people come from a pure place in their heart to want to be helpful to God, and without any ego. And I think in general in the healing arts, one of the things that, regardless of this method or any other method, one of the things that kind of, and I don't want to talk too much about the things I'm critical about, or because, but one of the things that I think are very polluting to the healing arts in general is when people get involved in it from a place of their own personal significance issues, where they just want to be seen, or they want some attention, or they want to feel good about themselves because they have the title of healer or this or that, or like that is there's, if you ask me, there's no room for it.
Yeah.
I really wish in the healing arts there was a governing body of not to where you could just go get a certificate from a teacher. There was
I
like
hear you.
some type
Yeah.
of like governing body in order to create standards that people would have to live
I
up
totally
to.
got what you're talking about. Yeah,
Yeah, like
definitely.
and but you know, more than anything, just that people come from a place of purity in their heart to just want to be simply helpful, truly
Yeah.
helpful to others, and helpful to God, and the holy guardian angels and their agenda to help healing and to clear the what I call the astral swamp of accumulation of soul thirsty entities that have developed because of the misdeeds of man, the misdeeds of creation over time. You know,
Definitely.
my
Yeah,
hope is, my hope is that all students that I ever teach, it's not my hope, but I'm going to do my best to ensure that everybody who I ever teach, they're just coming from a pure place, a selfless place within themselves, and just want to be truly helpful, and that they really mean it, and they're really dedicated, and really
how long did that take for
all
your
in.
training, Anthony?
Well, I mean, my introduction to the world, like the
I mean,
world,
when did you learn this angel healing?
yeah, well, I mean, like I said, my introduction to the world, the astral world, like like other dimensions and other dimensional realities and entities and angels began. I mean, I had an experience when I was 7, and that was my first kind of clairaudient experience with a guardian angel. But like really in my teens is when things got super burly, and just because of the nature of what was going on in my life and my environment and my social circle, and some of the boneheaded decisions I was making and the people I was running around with, things got ultra dark, and um and and just spiritually burly. And some of the people that I was running with on really like intense substances, mind-opening substances, combinations of mind-opening substances, living lifestyles that were very like financially driven and social status driven, and people like some of my people who are my friends at the time, because of their own personal weakness or runaway desires or drug-induced desires, ending up making pacts with forces of evil and getting into the selling of souls. So like when I was a teenager, thank God I had that my upbringing in Christianity, even though I drifted way away from my relationship with God, I had enough of the love of God in my heart that when I was going through those stages of my life, when things got really dark and literally evil, I had enough, I guess, spiritual fortitude and backbone to be able to be like, no. I'm not open to what you guys are talking about. And for a while, things got really intense, where people were talking about praying to certain forces of darkness and selling souls and trying to recruit me to do the same. And then at the same point in time, we were in the middle of both all of this is in my book, so I mean, I'm transparent, I'm an open book, but we were in the middle of drug trafficking of psychedelic drugs and the use of really potent methamphetamines, and we would be up for weeks.
Wow,
Candy and
those.
LSD and mushrooms. And I had a few attacks by way of demonic forces a few times. One sober as well as under the influence. A group of my partners at the time, they took some really dark oaths and were selling. I don't know how exactly they got seduced into this, but certain forces convincing them to sell their souls for money and power in the drug game, and then kind of like coming after me, like wanting me to join the club, and I'm like, you know what? No, we're not doing that. I don't know. I don't want to get you demonetized here. I don't know what YouTube it will or won't allow. So
It's fine. I think this is the one we're just talking about. It should be safe.
Okay, yeah, I'm trying to be,
Demonetized.
I don't know what what I'm allowed to
Yeah.
say or what I'm not allowed to say, but
Yeah.
yeah, like, so in my teens, I was introduced to certain forces of darkness, and I had a few interventions twice by way of angels.
Wow.
And
Well,
that
you're
really,
fortunate. You're
that
very
really,
fortunate. Mhm.
that really opened my eyes. And those experiences, those interventions, one of them specifically was, you know, and all of this is in detail in my book, The Call from Home. If you guys want to go check out the story, The Call from Home, it's on Amazon, it's on Apple Books, it's on
I'm gonna list it
Ingram
on
Spark.
Yep, I'm gonna list it on the description here, Anthony. I know some of people is gonna want to connect with you and also read your books. Just
Yeah, there
quickly,
it
you
is.
know, this is Anthony's website.
Well,
I have it
yeah,
open
my
up right
link
there.
tree.
Let me actually look. You can. There you go, you guys. He also has a Facebook, so look up Anthony Torres right here.
Mhm.
And you know, anyone who's watching this right now can go and add Anthony's friends. All right.
Mhm.
So
Okay, so but yeah, like that, it all began in my teens, and
yeah,
then in my at 20 years old, 21 years old, I dedicated my life to, I mean, I had I had my rear end saved a few times by God, and coming out of like 22 years old, I did a complete 180, and
wow.
made a pact with God that I would be in service to God, and I stepped foot on the spiritual path, and I went all in, like, and I mean, I dove into the deepest way, with full dedication and discipline. One of my I met a teacher, African elder, who was a teacher of cosmic consciousness and the creator of all, and he initiated me into cosmic consciousness and began to teach me about the nature of the creator, and that led to yeah, and that's that book there, The Creator of All, the Cosmic I Am, by exactly. So after that was a buddy of mine sent me a book called A Course in Miracles. And with A Course in
Oh yes.
Miracles, I dived in so deep, and I went into just renunciate mode. Renunciate meaning renounce the world. I was as close to a monk without being in a monastery as possible. And I literally just, I put down I threw away the pager, threw away the Rolodex, stepped away from the majority of almost every relationship,
Wow.
every unhealthy relationship, and taught myself how to cleanse my body of all the things that I'd done in my teens. Started practicing fasting and cleansing through herbs and veganism, vegetarianism, and I just learned how to meditate and studied and read A Course in Miracles religiously. And I mean, that's all I did. I got a little job at a like Panera Bread company so I could make enough money to pay my rent.
I love
And then
that place.
yeah, and then I just studied and studied and studied and read and studied and contemplated and read, studied and contemplated, and then applied everything that all the instructions that are laid out in that material. And then that led to got into raw veganism, and then I started meeting a bunch of people in the healing arts, like healers, energy healers, teachers of energy healing, started taking me under their wing and teaching me. And I also taught myself esoteric astrology, what the planets mean. In that process, that early stage, I was really drawn to Eastern mysticism through more like the Hindu path, the Bhagavad Gita, and which led me to the chakras and learning about the chakras. So I began learning about the chakra system, the planets, what the planets mean in association to the human, to one's human beingness, and different branches of the healing arts, energy healing, and that continued to grow. And then gradually I was introduced to more and more of the specific branches that are part of this modality of healing with the angels. And so that was about like a 12, 13, 14-year process. And then in 2012 is when my mentors took me under their wing, the people that the angels had originally revealed this work to. And then they taught me, and I completed my training, and then ran with it from there.
So you mentioned that these kind of healings are not widely known by majority of people, human. How did the person who taught you get this kind of healing?
I just talked about it earlier with a client who was here before. Where this, you hear a lot of people talk about angel healing and this and that, but oftentimes what that is people who are already healers, who were involved in some form of either energy healing or had some background in like knowing about angels, and then they're trying to like force apply angels into their previously established method. Because it maybe either sounds good or it's kind of like a force applied thing where it's like contrived on a human level by way of a healing arts practitioner. Whereas with this work, and I call that more a human method for healing that applies angels into it. Whereas this work, I call it a angel constructed method for healing that applies humans into it. So to clarify what I'm saying, this work, the healing work that I do with the angels, was originally revealed to a man who was at the time just a physical therapist. Meaning working on the physical body. He didn't have any spiritual healing practice in place. He was more than anything. He was working through certain Chinese medicine and physical therapy, but nothing inherently having to do with angels. And one day he went into his practice, and the first client he saw that was coming in to see him that day, next thing you know, I mean, he's already like 15, I think around 15 years into his physical therapy professional practice. So well established. But this first client, just randomly one day, this first client that came in, he all of a sudden saw this ghoul-like creature hanging off the side of the head of this man, tubed into the side of his head. And this ghoul-like creature, which was a demon, was uttering these obscenities about the man.
Wow.
Cursing about him. He's dead meat. He's mine. And just like a pure, just evil ghoul-like thing hanging off the side of the man's head. And my mentor, man that was a physical therapist, he's at first he's a bit shocked. He's like, what is this? Because the day before he wasn't clairvoyant. He didn't have clairvoyant ability. It's something that the angels had opened up in order to proceed.
So this is just opened up to him.
Yeah. The angels can induce clairvoyant ability in anyone for their own purposes, right? So
yeah.
At first he was taken aback, and then the next thing you know, he heard a voice within him say, "Call on Archangel Michael." And So he did. And he literally observed an angel appear in the room and began this back and forth dialogue with this ghoul on the side of this man's head. And this ghoul was saying things like, this isn't fair. It's not supposed to happen like this. This isn't fair. He's mine. This man is dead. The next thing you know, Archangel Michael, the angel that was appeared in the room, looked at my mentor and said, explain to your client what is happening right now, and ask him if I have permission to remove this thing from the side of his head. So my mentor looked at the client and said, listen, it's going to sound a little crazy, but this is what's going on right now. There is a ghoul-like creature hanging off the side of your head, speaking all types of horrific things about you. And I heard a voice within me say, call on Archangel Michael. An angel appeared in the room. I've observed this angel and this entity going back and forth. The angel turned to me, asked me to ask you if this angel has permission to remove this thing from the side of your head. And the client said, yeah. And he saw the angel just come in, wrap around this thing, and up and out of the room with it. And the next thing you know, the color came back to the man's face, and the man said, well, let me explain to you what's been happening. For a few years ago, 2 years ago, there was a horrible incident that occurred in my life that led me into a deep depression. And shortly after, I began hearing this voice within me that was trying to convince me to kill myself. And it was even predicting the date when I would kill myself. And that date is about 2 weeks from now.
Wow.
And that was that thing that was hanging off the side of his head that was trying to convince him to kill himself. And that sheds a lot of light on suicides and what a lot of I'm not going to get into the psychological community and the psychiatric community, but a lot of them, their clients are talking about suicidal ideation and hearing voices, and then the next thing you know, they just get written off as schizophrenic. And put on some medication that
so true
has side effects of suicidal ideation as well. But that's a whole other podcast. As a matter of fact, it's not a whole other podcast. I don't even need to be talking about this stuff. But point being is, I want to be alive, and I don't want to show up suicided. So the man got better, and he never had another voice in his mind to want to kill himself.
That's amazing. Now, do you know, because some of this energy, the demons and all this attachment, trying to get people to suicide, what will happen to the soul of this person when they finally did that? Because there's gonna be some sort of
it's not a good place to be. I mean, I don't want to. I know that's not a very sophisticated answer, but it's ultimately not a good place to be, and that person remains in a place of carried over anguish and despair and sadness and darkness within their soul and lower dimensional places of existence until there's some type of intervention that takes place, and their soul can receive healing and move forward in their process.
Wow. Because, I think in this society now, there's a lot of people who are, depressed and very suicidal.
Yeah.
So with that said, yeah.
So that was the first experience. But then the second one, the second client that came in was a man whose neck was stuck to the side of he had a kink in his neck.
Wow.
And it was like his head was stuck to his shoulder, and he came in for an adjustment. And when he came in, my mentor could see another man beside him, and right beside him with the same head position stuck to the shoulder. And when the client came in, my mentor said, "Who is that beside you?" And the client said, "What are you talking about?" He was like, "I have a kink in my neck. I'm here for physical therapy. I want to get my head fixed, and I want to be able to not be stuck like this."
Right.
My mentor said, No. Okay, but there's also somebody beside you whose head is also stuck like this.
Yeah.
And who looks similar to you, but looks a bit older. And the client said, "Oh my God, that must be my father." He said, "About 3 weeks ago, I might have the time a little bit off here. He said a little while ago, my father fell off of a ladder and broke his neck and died. And we had a horrible relationship, a lot of unresolved conflicts between us. He was very abusive to me. And before he died, we didn't have a relationship, and we never repaired things. And
Right.
shortly after he died by way of a broken neck, my head got stuck in this kinked position ever since then. And my mentor said, well, and he explained what happened with a client previously. And he said, apparently there's angels around that are here to help with healing. Do I have your permission to call them forward for removing the ghost of your father from your field? And the client said, yeah. And he took a moment, gave him a moment to kind of say his goodbyes and his apologies to his father. And my mentor called the angels, and he saw an angel appear and literally kind of guide and escort the ghost of the father out of the field. And as soon as he did, that client's head went straight back to center perfectly.
Wow. Wow.
So it shows the and I think there's rhyme and reason as to why the angels revealed this work to a physical therapist, because that showed how astral influences and energetic disturbances and interferences within the field of consciousness can lead to physical illness, constriction of various physical body parts, lack of range of motion, lack of blood flow, health issues, and how the physical body is a mirror reflector of what's happening on these other levels of self, these other dimensional levels of self within the field of consciousness. So, and then the next client that came in was a whole other thing, what he was able to see in that woman's field. And so ever since then, the following that day,
Yeah.
just continue to work with the angels to advance the method, and here we are today.
Wow. Wow. You got lucky that you met. Are you a friend of him? Is that why he taught you?
He's one of my close. Yeah, he's like family to me now. Him and his wife. I'm actually going there this Wednesday to help them. I just structured all the classes and how this should be taught. And
wow. Okay. How long is going to be for the program, for the class?
Well, there's about 4 levels, and to go through all of them, it'll probably take somebody the better part of a few years.
Okay.
But yeah, as far as myself, how I came into this was, I mentioned I graduated in 2009, and when I came out of school, I was like shot out of a cannon, and I went through my first year and a half just flying. And close to my birthday is in June, and close to my 33rd birthday, I experienced my first dip in my clientele. And I went from seeing close to 30 clients a week to under 5. And I was tripping out. I didn't know what was going on. I was like, did I choose am I on the wrong path? Did I choose the wrong vocation? Is there, I didn't know what was happening, and I was really concerned. And I contacted my angels. Weren't really on my radar at that point. Even going through all my training in my 20s, A Course in Miracles, and everything else, energy healing, angels weren't really part of any of it. And but nonetheless, like, I was going through this dip in my clientele. I was really worried. I was tripping out. I went to talk to my senior mentor from the college, the person that who had facilitated my hypnotherapy sessions while I was going through my curriculum. And I told her what was going on. And she was like, okay, well, maybe this is because, like, your childhood, which is its own other thing. Maybe it's because of what you went through in your first 6 years. Let's do some inner child work. And as a matter of fact, I know you're financially struggling right now. I'm going to do the session as a gift, birthday gift, but come in on the day of your birthday, your 33rd birthday. So I was like, okay. I came in, and I had done hypnosis maybe 12 times up to that point. And she put me in hypnosis. We were with the intention to do some inner child work. and she began the deepening exercises. And the next thing you know, her voice started kind of like the volume of her voice started turning down. And I started feeling these waves of energy coming from my feet to the top of my head over and over. And I was thinking to myself, hold on, I've been in hypnosis before. I've never felt anything like this. I don't know what's going on right now, but it's strange. And the next thing I know, Tina, right in my field of vision, as I was there reclined, a being appeared with beautiful silver hair about down to here and wings in, and a beautiful golden robe and eyes like suns, like many suns.
Wow.
And this being said, hello, my name is Azrael. I've come here today to tell you not to worry. We've been preparing you for many years to do very important work in the near future. He didn't explain what that important work was, but he began to induce this visual montage of all the teachers that have been brought into my life once I changed my life at 21, 22, all the teachers that have been brought into my life and the sequence of my my training, so to speak, leading up to that point. And showing me this montage kind of that sequence. Yeah. And the next thing I know, that faded, and there he was still standing there. And this went on for about 7, 8 minutes. And then the next thing I know, I remember also there were tears rolling down my eyes, and I was trying to, wow. Although I could see him, I could see Azrael. I wanted to like stare in his eyes, but I noticed he kept keeping me from doing so. It was almost like he wouldn't let me directly just gaze into his eyes. If I don't know why, but
I wonder why. Have you ever asked? You should ask.
I do remember that. Well, I think it's kind of has something to do with like why you shouldn't just stare at the sun. You know, like why it's not the best to stare at the sun. Something in the tune of that. But nonetheless, he disappeared, and I could hear her voice come back in, and she was counting me out of hypnosis.
Wow.
I explained what happened, and then she was kind of baffled. And I gave her a hug and told her thank you. And I went to Erewhon afterwards. This is this kind of high-end health food store. And at the time, they had a tonic bar and where you could sit at. And they had these cards at the end of the tonic bar, and one of them was angel cards. And I was like drawn over there, and it had the booklet. So I went immediately to find out, is there an angel named Azrael? And sure enough, Azrael, right there.
Wow.
Archangel and patron angel of counselors, and also the angel that helps people with transitions from the people who have passed away, transition from the physical realms back to the spiritual realms. In some traditions, it's called the angel of death, specifically in Islamic traditions. And then I was just like,
you were flawed.
It was just waterworks from there. I was just like, but I didn't know what this important work was that they had been. He mentioned they had been preparing me for, and then it was not long after that where I found at the time my mentors were doing, him and his wife were doing presentations, and the Bodhi Tree bookstore was open, and I saw.
Oh my God, is it still around?
I don't think so, but
yeah, I think it's gone. Yeah,
rest in peace, the Bodhi Tree bookstore. But I saw their flyers, and I saw it, and I was like, I'm going, no matter hell or high water, I'm going to that presentation. And I went. I was blown away. I signed up for a session the next day, which the attendees can do. And during the session, about halfway through it, the angels are bringing up all these things, personal things about me. They were just spot on. About halfway through, he looks at me and he says, you're to be doing this work. I'm to teach you how to do this. I'm going to be teaching you how to do this work in the near future. And at that point, they hadn't really taught that much at all. And I think it was maybe like 6-7 months. This other client of theirs had basically paid for them to be able to put on this big presentation, or this big this class that was around 24 days long. And
wow.
I went up and took the course, and everything was history from there.
Wow, that's fascinating. So I would assume that Angel Azrael is one of your angels who you work with today, up until today, correct?
That's my man.
Your man.
That's my man.
Angel of the death. There you go.
Angel of transitions. The word death is a little harsh.
Wait, you know what?
Angel of
It
transitions.
makes so much sense, Anthony, what your life experience, what you have gone through, you know,
Yeah,
and your own personal
grateful.
experience allow you to understand about the psychology of these people who's going through all this trauma. And here you got
Yeah.
this angel who came to Xinjiang and then, you know, work with you. So it only makes sense that, you know, you have to have all those experience first in the past for you to really.
And I really believe, like, one of the I think the reason why I'm so grateful, and I think one of the reasons why I was possibly given this opportunity is because the trials I went through as a teen, you know, when I had a few situations where people who had sold their souls and were living as walk-ins for demonic entities. One of these people one time, it was like a sequence of experiences where they were leaving little breadcrumbs, right? Like making comments, you know, like kind of revealing what was going on and what they were doing, praying to Satan and this and that, and like talking about how much money they so going on, like leaving little, and then it was all leading to this one experience where this this person who at one point in time was a crime partner of mine, he was like, you know, I want to talk to you, and this was like the final event, so to speak, right? And at this point in time, I was sober, and I wasn't using any substances at that point. I was still involved in the business side of things. I hadn't transitioned out of that yet, but I remember at the time I was completely sober, and he came over, and he I thought he was coming over to try to talk to me about maybe some type of drug deal or something, some plan he had in mind for us to make some money. But he sat down on the couch, and I sat down in the chair across from him, and he didn't say anything, and he just closed his eyes and sunk his head down. And the next thing I know, appearing in the room, kind of in between us, was an image, was this astral image, or this I guess you could call it an image, but it was more like a thing, and it was a wheel of fortune with a demon spinning it.
Oh,
like the Wheel of Fortune from TV. And it was this horrid creature with blood red eyes, and this creature of dark, this thing of darkness. And you could just feel evil in the air. And this demon was spinning this Wheel of Fortune, like the Wheel of Fortune from TV. It has all the, and I'm sitting here looking at this, and sober as a judge. And the next thing I know, he says, Tony, everyone has a price. And I didn't say anything. And he said, what's the price for your soul? And and then again, and that demon's still there, like spinning this Wheel of Fortune. He was like, Tony, what is the price for your soul? What do you want? And I said, there is no price for my soul. And immediately the whole thing just, and I said it firmly, I mean, real firmly. And the next thing you know, the image of this Wheel of Fortune and this demon just vanished. And he came up, his eyes open, and he just looked depleted and just defeated. And I got up, I walked into the bathroom, I splashed some water on my face. I came out, and I was like, look, you got to go, bro. There's no room for you here. I'll call a taxi for you. You got to go. He's like, no. Let me just talk to you a little bit longer. I was like, you aren't welcomed here. You've got to go now. I will call you a taxi. And he was like, all right. And that was it. I really believe, Tina, that was the defining moment where I earned some stripes or something. And maybe where the angels were just like, that's our dude, you know, like.
And you saw it. You saw it. Even before you did the healing work. Yes.
That was it. Yeah, and that was a truly crazy moment. And I believe that test, passing that, really defined a lot, and it gave me an opportunity to it may have laid the partly laid the foundation for what I'm
Your
doing
work.
now. And what
Yeah, exactly what you're doing right now.
I'm so grateful for that. And it's all in the power of God. And I'm so grateful
Wow.
for that and for the protection that I was given. I'm also, although I don't prescribe to organized religion, I'm also grateful for my aunt that raised me. And I'll say this publicly. I just told her this recently. I'm grateful that when I was younger, she took me to church. I was always very inquisitive. Again, I don't proselytize any organized religion. I believe more in a direct one-to-one relationship with the Creator, and I also at the same point in time think that if anything can generally help a person become a better version of themselves, even if it doesn't lead to spiritual awakening or enlightenment or gnosis, that any organized religion that just helps somebody become a generally better version of themselves or get closer to God in any way is a positive thing. But her introducing me to Christianity and just having a certain amount of wonder in my mind about God and love.
Foundation. Yeah,
love.
some foundation.
I really believe that in those darkest times of my teens, when I just wandered away and I was at my weakest, and spun out on drugs. I mean, we were out of our minds.
Wow.
And just kind of materialistic. I really believe that that early life foundation from the church helped me in that time period, and it gave me some North Star to a degree to keep myself from biting the apple, so to speak.
Wow, that's profound though. That's profound because I think that's what led you into doing this work, Anthony. Just really connected to yourself, and I think that's the journey you have to go through, really.
Yeah.
And for you to really experience it yourself, and gone through all those tough times, and change. So that wasn't easy. A lot of people don't even come around when they've gone that deep.
Yeah, I'm very grateful. I'm so grateful, and that's the story. That's how it all.
Wow, my God. Well, amazing. It's amazing share, Anthony. Well, guys, this is profound what you just share, with us here, Anthony. For those who want to connect with Anthony, how would they connect with you? The best. Should they go to your website, or should they go?
They could find me on Instagram on gold.encompass, gold.encompass, gold.encompass.
Yeah.
Or
which I'm gonna list it, post it under description as well. So they'll have that.
Like if you scroll down a little bit.
Yep, hold on.
I think my IG, like link to my IG is somewhere.
You have it down at the
towards the bottom.
Yep, possibly. Well, you have Twitter account, you got Twitch, and you got
but also like my website. You can go to my website, which is gold-encompass.
Which is where we're at right now. Where we're at right now is your website, isn't it?
This is my link tree.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, this is my link tree that has all of my different links.
I see. I went through your Facebook here.
Yeah, and there's Facebook, Anthony Torres and Facebook.
Yeah, there's some chat boxes open. That's not yours. I think it's yours, maybe.
Those are yours.
Yeah, show my personal information.
Oh, yes, you are. Mary Fong. Okay, sorry, Mary.
Yeah, Mary, go home, go back. I'm trying to unclick it.
Oh, goodness.
Give me a second here. For some reason. So the best way is to go to your website.
Yeah, gold-encompass.
There you go.
Not to be confused with golden compass. It's gold,
Okay. Okay, so this is a different one.
gold in compass.
Okay. I'm gonna post it under description as well. There you go.
Yeah, yeah,
There you go. Gold in encompass. Dot
yeah.
encompass. There's Instagram. Okay.
Mhm.
So you can be connected in many ways. You on LinkedIn as well. Yeah.
I am on LinkedIn as well.
Yeah, you can private message Anthony with this IG, Facebook. He has his Facebook here.
Yeah, IG is the
And
easiest. I'm on there a lot, and
okay.
for promotional purposes, and
So he can chat with you guys right away. Yeah. So you guys can go there and also look up his book. You know, his book is on Amazon.com. You guys can grab a couple, you know, copies. I think you've got 2 books right now. That's what we mentioned
I have
earlier.
a book about my first teacher, Josiah Swago, who taught me, initiated me into cosmic consciousness, and then I have the autobiography, The Call from Home. So
awesome, awesome. Well, Anthony, I want just a lot.
I mean, we could go on and on and on as long as you like. I mean, we're here, so.
Yeah, well, you know what it is that, you know, I think if it's way too long, I think the audience would, they're like a little bit shorter, too, not too much. But definitely, you know, I'm going to bring you back again and again up on the show, because what you shared today is fascinating. And really, I have personal experience with Anthony as well, you know, and I didn't tell him anything. He told me, don't say anything, don't tell me anything. And then he went right into you know, what my program, what my issue is, which, you know, I was like, wow, that's actually right.
Yeah, but listen to your in complimenting you, you're doing really well. I mean, there wasn't a whole lot of really there. You can. I enjoy working with people such as yourself, who I enjoy working with everyone, no matter if it's a absolute travesty or it's somebody who's done a lot of work on themselves. But definitely, you made it light lifting. It
Make it light on top.
Yeah, it wasn't too intense and too crazy, and it was a breeze. And
maybe too boring because you got nothing much.
It was a charm to work with you. No, I mean, I love that. I love to see. I mean, it's beautiful to see people who have done their work and they're really truly invested in it and dedicated to that. And you are definitely one of those people, and I admire that in you. And I think it's beautiful. I
think I walked this path since I was a little girl too. You know, very, very young. Yeah, very young. I've always been interested in all this stuff, you know, and for me, it just my own journey. But, you know, I mean, I can honestly say that I'm pretty happy, pretty content in my life. I'm pretty positive.
Yeah, you're a peaceful soul who's doing the work of the light, and
yes, very peaceful, and I don't have any issue at all, you know, in my life, really. Pretty content, and you know, I'm just thank God for that. Thankful for it.
Amen. Absolutely.
Yeah, amen. Well, Anthony, thank you so much. You know, I'm gonna get in touch with you and find out who my angels are.
Yeah, and how many? Yeah, and how many? Right?
Yeah, why not? And see how many.
We'll do it.
Cool.
We'll do it.
Cool. You're gonna come back for the next one. We'll talk about more. I mean, today was fascinating about Angel and your past experience with them as well. I want to learn from you as well. I think that'd be cool.
Yes, you will. You shall.
Cool. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you. Thank you, Tina. And God bless all of you. And yeah, I look forward to next time.
Guys, don't forget to share this video if you like Antonio. Please
yes,
do.
Please
Anthony,
share.
Anthony. I always call you Antonio. Anthony.
That works.
So you know what? Share this video. Please share with your friends. Anyone who has problem, depression, or anything like that on some source, they probably have this problem that Anthony share with you guys, you know, about this situation with all the attachments. Come to him, because I think you're gonna love his work like I did. I think he's amazing and powerful. Not just amazing, very powerful, you know, angel healer. And he was my teacher before, so I knew it was good. I couldn't believe it's been that long.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
Awesome. I love it.
Cool. Have a good night.
All right. Thank you.
Talk to you later.
All right.
Take care,
bye, guys.
okay?
Bye, everyone.
Bye, everyone. Take care.